Welcome to junior night, phase 2. On behalf of the Sacred Heart Administration, as well as the guidance department, I want to welcome you to an evening of lots of great information. My name is Gina Crystal. I'm assistant principal for academics, and I'm very, very excited about this evening of sharing. No matter if this is your 5th child attending college, this evening should still have some value added, as this year college admissions and the application process may look a little different in light of the pandemic. So we're very happy that you're here. We also want to greet those parents and guardians who have their first child attending college. We welcome you to the club. We hope you have put your seatbelt on for tonight's information, but know 2 things. One is that we're recording tonight's program, so if you missed something, you can review it. And 2, know that you have a team of people in our guidance department that will steer you in the right direction. From college applications to financial aid to scholarship and summer opportunities, we know that parents and guardians will learn about their role during this process, and students as well. So I'm going to ask Miss Erin Gregorio to start, just to put up her screen in just a minute. But first, what I wanted to do was invite our chairperson of the guidance department, Sister Eileen Brennan, who's going to lead us in a prayer to start the whole program. Thank you, Sister.
Good evening, everyone. Let us just take a moment and let's place ourselves in God's presence. St. Patrick's Day can be an opportunity to reflect on God's presence in your life. The Celts were adventurers. Each day was seen as an adventure as they sailed off to unknown lands filled with danger and possibility. Celtic travelers often drew a circle around themselves as they began each journey. The circle reminded them that they were always encircled by God's care. Today, we need the wisdom of St. Patrick. We live in a perfect storm of challenges, many of which are beyond our control. We are tossed about in the seas of relativity and uncertainty. We need to pray for courage, compassion, and hope. We surround ourselves in a moving circle that joins adventure and safety, a circle that spirals outward to embrace our ever-changing world. Take a moment, draw a circle around yourself, and pray St. Patrick's words whenever you are feeling at risk or anxious. They will be a reminder that God is your companion in all your adventures. And we pray. I arise today through God's strength to pilot me, God's might to uphold me, God's wisdom to guide me, God's shelter to shield and protect me, God's ear to hear me, God's word to speak for me, God's hand to guide me, God's shield to protect me. Today, I arise through the mighty strength of the Lord of creation. And to this we say, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Sister. I want to also make sure that you know that each counselor tonight is going to be presenting a section to you of the program, and we will be entertaining questions at the end. And there's a place if you can put your questions in the chat box as we go along, and we will try to get to your questions at the end. So if Ms. Gregorio could start posting sharing her screen, she's going to put up tonight's presentation, and our first speaker will begin.
Good evening. I'm Mrs. Elizabeth Pfeiffer Savidio, and I hope that this night will make the college process a lot less intimidating for all of you. How to simplify the college process. College opportunities are there for all. For every GPA and for every pocketbook, there is a school. You just have to be willing to do the work. And there are some key steps to follow. Be aware of your unique situation. What are your strengths and what are your needs? It's a very personal decision. Know the admission requirements. What GPA are they looking for? What about standardized testing? How many letters of recommendation do they want? Do you need a portfolio? What about an audition? What about an interview? These are all things that you want to consider. Thoroughly understand the testing process. COVID-19 has pushed many colleges to temporarily suspend or permanently eliminate testing. Later on in our discussion, we're going to go through that more thoroughly. Investigate your college options. There are CUNY, SUNY, private, and public colleges. Discuss a financial plan with your family. That includes tuition, housing, activity fees, and transportation. Types of colleges. In the United States, there are over 5,000 colleges. There are private, public, SUNYs, which is State University of New York, CUNY, City University of New York, and community colleges. The next question has always been, how many colleges should a student apply to? There is no magic number, but in Shaw, our average has been 9. 2 to 3 reach, 2 to 3 target, 2 to 3 likely, and local 1 to 2. What is the guidance counselor's role? We are here to provide you guidance and instruction for the entire application process. We begin by meeting with you one-on-one and in small groups. All of your guidance counselors have already started this process. For each of our students, we will write a letter of recommendation, and this will be used not only for your college applications, but for outside scholarships as well. We will complete the college application eval forms for you. We will process and submit all school documents for college applications and scholarships in a timely fashion. And those documents include your transcript, your counselor letter, your 2 teachers letter, the evaluation forms, and our school profile. We will update college requests for all future transcripts, including your mid-year and final reports.
The expectations of the Shaw student. And that means what's really expected of the Shaw student. We want you to be an active participant in the entire college process. That means take an interest. Complete and submit your application accordingly. You'll be getting guidance from us on what applications you should be looking into, and you're going to be given a helping hand every step of the way. So just do your part with your application. Register, submit your SAT. The SAT 2, or the subject test, is no longer available. Your ACT, your AP scores, if your AP scores are a 3 or higher, to each of your colleges and to the NCAA if that's what you're interested in. Register for Shaw college level courses linked to our local colleges. That means pay attention to the timeframes allotted to register. update your Naviance account with accurate college information and deadlines. Right now, if you haven't updated your resume, you can start with that. And then we'll be giving you instruction on how to continue. Complete your student information sheet. You'll be getting this tomorrow, and we'll get into that a little bit later. Schedule college visits, attend college fairs, and open houses. This is the way that you can really get comfortable and begin to see what the colleges are like. Always remember, if any college you are visiting remotely or online for open houses, before you make that final decision, you want to definitely see what the campus is like live, though. Take advantage of Common Application essay prompt assistance provided by our English department. All the English teachers of juniors are happy to give this guidance. And strictly adhere to guidance deadline dates. Guidance deadline dates are different than college deadline dates. And Mrs. Rotundi will be addressing that a little bit later. You want to register with the NCAA at ncaa.org and list the NCAA in your Naviance account. It's important to be in constant communication with your counselor regarding any issues or questions. If you don't understand something or you forget something, we're going to be covering everything with you. But if there's anything you forget or you don't understand, just always email us. We're available through email. Keep scheduled appointments with any member of the guidance department. Okay, that's really important. And now we always make our appointments through email. So you have to really keep on top of that and make sure you're checking your email every single day to see when we might be sending you a pass or notice of an appointment. Check your Naviance account and emails on a daily basis from counselor or colleges. That's just what I said. Submit all college decision letters and scholarship packages to guidance as they are received. Okay, so once you've submitted all your applications and you're waiting to get your decisions, as they come in, make sure you're submitting them to guidance because it's very valuable information. And it's the same way that you're going to be using this information. The information you give is going to be important to future classes. Concentrate and fulfill all academic and school commitments until the very end of senior year. Okay, we've got to really stay on top of things. You're going to have lots of opportunities to present yourself in the best possible light to the colleges, and the colleges will be watching, and they ask for those mid-year grades. And if at the end of the year, those grades don't, they would drop significantly, that wouldn't be a good thing for you because they want to see that you're willing to put your best foot forward right up until the end. And finally, please, please, please be careful of your digital footprint on social media. It's very important. We don't know how the colleges are looking at you, and they do check into everything that you utilize on social media. They have ways of searching, and that can be something that can really sabotage. You can have a perfect resume, but if they find that there's something on social media that casts you in a negative light, it could be the thing that causes a denial, not an acceptance.
Parent responsibilities. This is an exciting time for you as parents, as well as it is for your daughters. And but it is that type of year now that's going to be transitional, where you're going to let go a little more and more, because within the year, your daughter will then be at college, and then it will be a new role for both of you in many ways. And it's almost kind of like that year where you'd have your daughter when she was little, on a bicycle, and it's time to take off the training wheels. It's that type of year now, as it will be moving into senior year. It's that last year with the training wheels before you let them go. So all of us at Sacred Heart and the colleges and the teachers, we're all going to be getting them ready and for that college, so that they'll be successful and a little more independent. So regarding the responsibilities, it's really important that you have an honest conversation with your daughter privately regarding what's realistic for you in your financial life, what you can and cannot afford, what types of loans your daughter might need to take out, or to work, or to get a job, so that they have a realistic understanding of what schools are really possible for them, not only academically, but also financially. So perhaps in the summer, when things may calm down a little bit and we'll be in a better situation, maybe to have that heart-to-heart talk to your daughter, not revealing all of your financial life, but have a better understanding of what you can and cannot do, not only for your daughter, but perhaps for other children in your family as well. And speaking of finances, we will have in the fall, we usually have around September 10th, a financial aid meeting. We'll have a guest speaker at that event, and we'll go over the two very important financial aid forms: the FAFSA form that every college will require, and some colleges, in addition to the FAFSA, will also require what is called a CSS profile. And if a school requires a CSS profile, it's not in place of the FAFSA, it's in addition to. And we'll have that meeting in early September, because these forms will become live on October 1st. So there's nothing for you to worry about now in preparing for them. But we try to have the meeting early, because we like after the meeting to have our parents have a few weekends in case after the meeting they have to look into or change any of their finances, and they'll have a couple of weekends to do that before the form will become live for you to access. Sometimes parents might feel that they might not qualify, let's say, for financial need, and sometimes they don't complete the forms. But I encourage all of you with great passion to complete these forms. Because many times our girls, were very blessed that 93% of them will earn academic, athletic, or artistic scholarships. And many times if a student doesn't complete these forms, she doesn't get that merit money. So it's very, very important that they are completed. And we will certainly help you, with that as you have questions. After the meeting, even our guest speaker will stay later, and throughout the year if you have more questions regarding those forms. We certainly want to encourage a balanced and realistic list of choices. So we're really important in our department that we want all of you to have options, all different types of options. So we want you to have choices of maybe this is a great school, but what are the finances? So you really want to have a little bit of everything, because the more options, for all of us, the more help it will be. And many times parents will ask, do I need to hire someone to help my daughter with the essay or to take a course? So that we're very blessed in at Sacred Heart that we have very caring and passionate and so well qualified English teachers that in June, your girls will be doing the Common App question in English class, and the teachers will, grade it and edit it. And it'll be nice for your daughters to have that closure before they leave for the summer, that their Common Application essay is done. And then in August and September and October, they'll have that time then to work on the supplemental essays. So we have to say, I'm probably the only, and I know my department members will laugh at this, but I'm probably the only person, and maybe in the country, that's sad that the SAT no longer has the essay part. But I feel that way because for our girls especially, and it's certainly in credit to our English department and all of our teachers that encourage so much writing, and I know it's not just English and history, theology, and all of our subjects, but our girls do so well. We're always singing their praises and we're very proud of them. So I'm probably very sad that they're getting rid of the essay, because for our girls, it was another way for them to shine. But I'm not, worried that they'll continue to shine in other ways. But so in that light for the essay, it'll count more now than ever, because especially as schools become more open, minded regarding requiring standardized testing, the essays will become more and more important. And again, that's great for our girls because we know they will do a wonderful job. And then we have here to ensure that all the inquiries are made by your daughter. So this is really important. And of course, none of us in our department would ever say these things to you, because we understand how, that daughter's your little girl and that aspect, and you always want to protect them and help them. But colleges aren't going to view our young ladies in that way anymore. So if your daughter have questions, or they're finding out, or if they want to set up an interview, or they have questions about their application, or even when their open houses are, or whatever the question might be, it's really important that your daughter now moving forward, that she takes the initiative and she contacts the colleges, not you. Because some of the colleges, they're very strict on that. And they will clearly say to you, how come your daughter isn't reaching out? Are you the one applying to college, or your daughter? And they really will be that direct. We won't be that direct because we understand, but colleges are not going to view them that way. They're going to view them as young adults. They're coming to the college. It's their future now and their decision making, and they want to see those girls acting in that way. And we're not worried because we know they have that level of maturity to certainly handle the process, and we have confidence in them. And it's important that you show them that confidence as well. So anytime there's questions, to please step back. You can stand nearby, but let them make the call. So that's really important as we move forward. And then I know a lot of things have changed, of course, with the COVID and looking at the college requirements for admissions. But some things have not changed, and that is the importance of your daughter's transcript. Now more than ever, if a student decides not to send her scores, this transcript will hold even more weight. However, the transcript is important in many ways. I think sometimes parents might feel it's just the GPA, and of course that is important. However, it's not the only thing. It's also the courses that your daughter is taking. So sometimes a student might have a higher GPA than another student and wonder how come maybe they got in and another student didn't. It's not only that, it's also the courses. So that's also going to be important when they look at the transcript, and also the number of credits that they've been carrying through their years. And so in that way, we really feel that our students are strong applicants. Going back to what Mrs. Henderson had said earlier about grades, it is really important that they continue. We have a no senioritis. Okay, our girls graduate early, so they'll have home awards June, July, and August, no summer reading. They'll be the happiest girls in America. And so it's important that they run the full race. And you're going to spend your hard-earned money on college level classes and on AP exams, and they're going to run the full race till the very end. And you want them to do well on those tests to earn your money that you put out for those exams. And you want them to do well at the end of the year on all the college credit classes we have, so that they also get good grades and can forward them to their colleges. So that is always going to be an important part of their profile. Regarding the SAT or ACTs or sending their scores. So as we know now with this year, that many of the schools became optional. But that doesn't mean that if your daughter does well on her standardized test, that doesn't mean she shouldn't send her scores. So, and I think too, it doesn't have to necessarily be all or nothing. So to give you maybe something more concrete. So you might have, a school that maybe doesn't give merit scholarships. They give need-based, as all of our colleges will. So maybe in that case, if your daughter maybe didn't score as high maybe as she had hoped, in that school, maybe she would opt to choose and not send her scores. But then maybe there's another school that is merit. And you know that they have to have a certain SAT or ACT score, and your daughter has that. Well, then maybe for that school, you will send the scores, because then that could maybe enable her to get that type of scholarship, athletic or artistic, academic, but sometimes that's going to be a part of it. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. And some of the schools that are test optional, many times they'll ask the students to do something extra. They might ask them to submit a graded work from junior or senior year. They might have them do an additional essay, or want a different, another letter rather of recommendation. So these are, they might ask them to have an interview. So these are other things that might happen if they don't send the scores. And if they don't send the scores, then all really the other parts of the application across the board will hold more weight, because that will be one part that they do not have. So since most of our girls, not taking anything for granted, so I am going to literally knock on wood, that they're going to continue to have high numbers of our students earn scholarships. We do feel that it is in their best interest to try to take at least one of the standardized tests. So we do encourage them. And then in addition to that, of course, their resume, and we know how active our girls are. I know some of them may have been concerned in that they couldn't be involved as much as they maybe have wanted to be, but the colleges will certainly understand the limits that COVID may have had on some of the students, and what their desires may have been. And if it is something, like even if they were going into the health field and they really were looking forward, let's say to volunteering at a hospital, and they weren't able to, of course, because of COVID, on the common application, there is a question that states, is there anything else about you think we should know? And I would certainly put down that passion piece, that if it wasn't for COVID, I did have that intention of volunteering at Mercy or Winthrop or whatever hospital it might be, or anything else that might be linking to your daughter that, nothing to do with her, but because of COVID, she couldn't participate. What's going to be happening too tomorrow, an exciting day for our girls, as Mrs. Henderson alluded to, that introduced into the information sheet, they're also going to be getting instructions about how to go about asking for 2 teachers for letters of recommendation. So your girls will be getting a packet tomorrow about how to go about that and how to follow up, and when the due dates are, and all of that will be explained to them tomorrow. And so that will be coming up for them. I did just want to clarify something, well, actually 2 points. One is that if we have teachers that might not be returning for whatever reasons in their personal lives, that therefore they couldn't do your daughter's letters of recommendation. It doesn't mean that they wouldn't want to. But in addition to the letters, also forms for them to complete. And since the teachers will no longer be here at Sacred Heart, they wouldn't have access to those forms. So if a teacher, later on in the year when they make those decisions, if they're going to return or not, then those teachers wouldn't be able to, and your daughter, though not to worry, could always ask then another teacher. I know that many of our girls, in particular at this class coming up, work with science research with Dr. Sullivan. And if you're going to pursue something in the field of health or science, you might reach out to him, of course, for a letter. And we certainly know how much passionate Dr. Sullivan is. So I know he'll be delighted to do that. But you would also choose your 2 teachers, and you would also ask Dr. Sullivan if that were applicable, because his letter would be like an outside letter, but he's in-house. So he will discuss that with your daughter, and he'll explain to you how he would like that to be handled. And of course, you would just abide by his recommendations in how he would like that to be processed, because it's a little bit different than the other teachers. Our school profile is a form that will be going out with all of your college applications by your guidance counselors. It'll be scanned and sent to all the schools. And it's a 2-page summary of the key points of our schools. It's an important statistical report. And in the end of the summer, at the beginning of fall, it will be redone and every year, so it's most accurate regarding our statistics. And that many times we're highlighting it now because many times now when your girls and daughters will be going out for open houses or virtual tours or in the summer, or many times the presenters will talk about the profile. And sometimes the girls think, is that my resume? Like, what is the profile? You'll know that it's something done by the school. It's an important document, but it's nothing for your daughters to worry about or anything for them to do regarding it. And then lastly, we have the interview. Now, some schools, to be accepted to their college, a student has to interview. And going back to what Mrs. Pfeiffer's video had said earlier this evening about knowing all of the details of the application and the parts of it and what those requirements are, this is very, very important because very clearly a school will say, do you need to visit in order to be considered for an application? Do you need to have an interview? And in some cases, if it is one of your favorite schools and one of your top schools, then you might want to take that initiative to ask, could you have an interview? And take that initiative. And many times schools that allow interviews will be very happy to see that your daughter has taken that initiative and want to have an interview. And many of our girls, of course, are very active and are wonderful speakers and speech and debate and really involved and quite articulate and mature. So we feel very confident that they will do well on their interviews. And of course, we will work with them too before they have those interviews. But in some cases, it is a requirement. And that's something, again, that very important that all of you keep watch on that as you go from school to school. And in that also the same way with the supplemental questions around that middle of August, many times the colleges will update because they, like ourselves, have had an awful lot of transition this year. And they will now be making some of their own decisions moving forward of how things might change a little bit from the present year that we're just finishing up because of the situation with COVID and how it has impacted them. And also too, you'll probably find a very big difference too in location of where the schools are that your daughter is applying to, because again, as we know from the news, that different places and regions of the country were impacted differently from COVID, and therefore their specifics could be very different from another school. Thank you.
Okay, so student considerations in the college search. Several of the points on this slide may have already been addressed previously, but I'll just go through that. The girls certainly will want to see if they have a variety of colleges. They have enough options for themselves. So they want to have a variety, as Mrs. Pfeiffer's video said, of likely, target, and reach schools, not to put all their eggs in one basket with the reach, but to have enough options spread out throughout. And regarding the safeties or likely schools, in addition to just having safety academic type schools, you also want to have safe financial schools in there as well. So perhaps a school that might be more in a safe end for your daughter might offer her some very nice financial packages and some scholarship opportunities, which would be very helpful in that respect. So you want to have definitely a variety of options available for your daughter. Again, cost and scholarships, you want to look at that for sure. Might be an important factor to see what the price range might be for the family, what type of financial aid, and again, scholarship opportunities are available at the school, grants, things like that. And towards the end, I will show you different places where you can look for scholarships on our website and elsewhere. Another factor to consider too for your girls is, of course, the location of the school. How close to home might she be comfortable with? Does she want to go far away? And again, as Mrs. Pfeiffer's video said, in addition to having a safety school, also want to have maybe a local school in there as well. Perhaps the last minute, she might change her mind and decide she wants to stay home after all and not travel maybe far away, or, different things can happen. But again, at least she has the option available to her that she has that in her back pocket that she applied to that school. The major, of course, will be a very important factor to make sure that the school has what your daughter would like to study there. So, if she has a major in mind, if she wants to major in nursing or physical therapy, she, wouldn't look at a school that's just centered on engineering, for example. You really want to make sure that they have what she would like to study there. And if she's undecided, which is, completely fine. She does not have to know right now what she would like to do. for the rest of her life in terms of a major, and people change all the time their minds. So if she's undecided, that's often the most popular major to go for. So the girls really have until second semester traditionally of sophomore year in college to declare a major. So if she is undecided, we would certainly suggest that she's looking at schools that have a variety of options there that aren't so specific in one particular area, that she has a lot of different avenues she can go down to experience different classes and really maybe fall in love with something that she didn't think of previously. So that's definitely something to consider regarding a major. Student body and the size and diversity of the student body are definitely another factor to consider too. How big or small of a campus is she comfortable with? At Sacred Heart, it's a very tight-knit, small community. Would she like to have that similar feeling in college, or perhaps would she like to have a different experience and have maybe go to a large university or college? The larger the school, perhaps it might be more of a stadium seating kind of a classroom. Perhaps it might not be as personal, it might be more maybe like a number. The professor might not necessarily know her by name. Those types of schools tend to be maybe more research type schools. So again, it depends on what she wants out of her experience. Perhaps again, she wants more of a personal touch, a smaller setting. The professor would know her by name. So just again, visit different schools if you're able to, and if it's safe at that time to visit the schools to get different experiences of different options that she might like to experience. Campus life. So the girls are not going to be studying 24/7. They're also going to be involved in different activities and different things on the campus. So perhaps is she interested in athletics? Is she an athlete? Does she want a certain club there, student government, study abroad program? So really look at the campus life and what interest your daughter has and what she might like to pursue further in her college life. Support services. So if your daughter is someone that has an IEP or a 504, to definitely looking to see what type of support services the school has. Do they have a full-blown LD program or just a support service that won't be as in depth with that type of aid that would be there? So what exactly would your daughter need? And definitely speak to that office and see what they can provide there. For example, Mitchell College has a very good LD program that they can go in depth with you there. Other schools as well. So if that's something that would be, very important for your daughter to have there, to definitely make sure the school has that for her. And really the bottom line is finding the right fit for your daughter. So, what's good for one young woman might not be good for the other. So, sometimes I say to my girls, think of the 5 must-haves that you think you must have at the college to be like almost like deal breakers. If they don't have these 5 things, then that might not be a good option for you. So that's something to just, consider as you're searching. And the girls all have access to Naviance too. And since freshman year, so hopefully they're familiar with everything in there. And there is a search tool in there that has all these examples of different options that they can search by, and that will help them to generate a list of schools that they can, narrow down and make good options for themselves. So that's really the bottom line, is really finding the right fit for her.
Well, now that we have discussed the search for colleges, now the question is how to apply. And these are the types of deadlines I'm sure many of you are familiar with, but I'll go through them just very briefly, just in case to clarify anything. So the first one we have is early decision. As we know, this is a binding decision for students. So if the student decides to go early decision, there's no changing of heart. Pack your bags, you're going to that college. Now, this is important because most colleges will expect 3 signatures from the parent, the student, and the counselor to make sure that the student is fully aware of what she's signing on for. And if the student is accepted, then she must withdraw any other application she may have submitted. The other is early action. Now, this one is not binding, and there are no limits to how many the students can apply. In some cases, students will need to apply early action simply because the major she may be pursuing, such as engineering, nursing, PT, OT, or pharmacy. Restrictive early action is not a very common deadline for many colleges, but it does exist nonetheless, and it's not binding. However, the key word here is restrictive. So that means that the students are restricted to do something, and that is mostly not being able to apply early action to other private colleges. Priority or in parentheses other is another form of an early application. And given the terminology, this type of deadline indicates that the application must be submitted sooner rather than later for a variety of reasons, such as perhaps the program, scholarship, or guaranteed housing. Rolling and regular are very similar. One has a specific deadline date, which is the regular one. Rolling does not have a decision deadline date, a deadline date for sure. It just keeps on going and going and going, and students will be notified of the decisions from the colleges on a rolling basis. So they both have the same meaning, but they can't be used interchangeably. Now, students will always ask, is it better to apply early? Does it increase my chances of getting into college if I apply in the early pool? Because oftentimes we may read that colleges will say that they will accept anywhere between 50 to 70% from the early pool. So when we hear those percentages, we get a little worried and wonder, let me get in earlier, and wouldn't it be better? The answer to the question isn't very simple, simply because the early pool is very, very competitive. And so depending on the student's credentials, it may be better to actually hold off and wait to apply during the regular pool, because when her senior grades get calculated into the GPA, we usually see a tremendous increase. And so that puts the student in a better position of strength. Students need to carefully consider how they should apply to their colleges. The how is only one aspect of the consideration. The other concern, of course, is when is the application due to the colleges? Well, it doesn't end here. There is another set of deadlines that students will need to adhere to, known as the guidance deadlines that you heard earlier from Mrs. Henderson. This may sound a bit confusing and overwhelming, but at the bottom of the screen is the acronym CCAD, Check College Application Deadlines. This is posted in the school calendar as a helpful reminder for the students so they know that there is something that's due to their guidance counselor. So what are the guidance deadlines? On the next screen is a sample illustration. And this will be posted in the student's Naviance account. So, and the dates will change. This is this year's deadline. The new one will be posted later on next year. So what we have here are 3 sets of deadlines.
Are you using Quizlets?
Sorry. So the first column pertains to all the college deadlines, as you can see. The second and third column are what we refer to as the guidance deadlines. So for example, if an application is due to the colleges anywhere between November 1st to November 14th, the student is responsible to take action on 2 separate dates. So in the middle column, you'll see October 4th is when she must simply list this college in her Naviance account. This will take her a few seconds to complete the task. Then move across on October 18th. That is when she must submit her application to those colleges. Okay, and then the rest follows suit. Now, this may seem a bit peculiar to many of you, but I assure you that this is a very beneficial system for both the student and the counselor. For the student, the benefit, she will never miss the college deadline and will not have to be up all hours of the night, feverishly trying to beat the 12 a.m. hour to get the application in on time. For the counselor, this gives us ample time to meet the college deadline as well, even though we are not required to do so. It is simply our customary practice to demonstrate professional courtesy, not only to the colleges, but more so for our students. Their applications will be marked complete, thereby allowing the colleges to begin their evaluation in a timely fashion. What is also important to highlight is that there is no official beginning time. There is an official beginning time for processing applications, as well as an official ending time. Counselors cannot and will not work on any college applications prior to the end of September. This is simply because the official transcripts, teacher recommendation letters, and school profile will not be available before then. We do realize that some colleges recommend having the applications submitted very early in September or at the late end of August. Please trust us. Our students are never at a disadvantage because we will not do that prior to the end of September. The application process officially ends in late February. Therefore, this means that seniors cannot submit any applications to their colleges past this date. And this is because A, there must be an end to all things, and B, the counselor's focus must now shift to the junior class to help them, as we are doing for you this evening with the college process. 2 more points on this matter. The deadline sheet is not negotiable. However, if a student is having difficulty, she must email her counselor and communicate that concern. The second thing is the counselors process applications in chronological date order and not first come, first serve. So for example, if a student wishes to submit all her applications by an earlier date, she may do so, but the counselor will only process those that are due sooner rather than later in order to meet the college deadlines for all our students. That being said, a word of caution. While we encourage students to work on their applications over the summer, we must insist that they do not submit their applications until they have met their counselor in September. We will meet with the students in early September to give them specific directives on a crucial step regarding the applications and their Naviance account. So now we know when to apply. The next question is how to apply. The following are the ways in which students can apply to colleges. I believe most of these are self-explanatory. The common application is a very popular, commonly used application, hence the name. And your daughter will probably be finding that most of her colleges will be through Common App. We also have the Coalition. There's the SUNY schools. They're mostly Common App too. You might have some SUNYs that are directly, you go to the suny.edu website. CUNY has their website, and of course, if the colleges are not any of the above, then you simply go to the college website, find their application, and proceed that way. The common application is the most commonly accepted application nationally and internationally. So we encourage that the students fulfill this application to submit to the colleges, even if they're given other options, such as the ones marked below that we refer to as the incentive type. Students can still submit the Common App instead of those incentive type applications and get the same perks as they were offered previously.
Okay, so as Mrs. O'Neill was saying, we will have a financial aid night in the fall that will discuss the FAFSA in-depth, the CSS profile. So it'll be really important to make sure that you do attend that meeting. It's extremely helpful. We have a gentleman come in usually from St. John's, and he spends a lot of time with parents. He'll even stay after and answers personal questions. He's really very helpful. He's been with us for a long time, Mr. Shambi. And regarding scholarships, there are several places where you can look for scholarships. We have, there's a listing in Naviance. There are different websites, and again, when I come out of the screen to the school website, I'll show you some of those. You can look on the college website. That will be on their financial aid page typically, where you can find different scholarships that the school has specific for them. If the scholarship is specific for example, Molloy College, it would only apply if your daughter is going to Molloy College. But the outside scholarships at the American Legion, maybe you belong to a union with your job and they give a scholarship, all those outside scholarships will come with her no matter what school she's going to. So just keep that in mind. And then there are also merit-based scholarships that would pertain to strictly your daughter has this GPA, these scores, she's getting X amount of dollars from that school. So that's considered merit-based based on her grades and her test scores. And again, that usually would be either maybe on the admissions page or again on their financial aid page on the school's website. It might vary from school to school, but they usually are in those areas. And definitely keep in mind, as I'm sure you know, that the college tuition will, certainly increase from year to year. So keep that in mind when you're doing your research and seeing what might be a feasible option for your family to do. Touring a school. So I know this is a little different these days with COVID, but hopefully all going well and moving in a positive direction, we can try and get back to the campuses. Because again, being there in person, we really feel like makes a big difference for the girls to really experience it. So many times my girls will come back and tell me that they got out of the car with their parents and they just realized this is not the place for me, or they got out of the car and they loved it. So it really does make a difference if it's possible. But I know the schools have really worked very hard this year to try and make it as beneficial online as possible, doing various virtual tours and info sessions, virtually. So they really have done a great job making it as close to real life as possible during these difficult times. So on this page, you'll see, and we'll have access to this PowerPoint later on. These are just some tips to consider when you're visiting the school, some things to keep in mind. You might want to request criminal reports if anything has happened in the school. They need to disclose anything that's happened around the campus. That's known as the Clery Act. There's some helpful questions that you can ask too. So these are some examples here that you might want to know of the school. Just the last one I would just highlight for a second. I'm not sure if you've heard of the term suitcase school before, but that would pertain, like, for example, if your daughter is going to school, let's say down south or out of state, so that she's not, close to her house. And are all the other students that are at that school, let's say in North Carolina, are they all from that immediate area, North Carolina? So they're going to go home on the weekend and, pack it up, and no one's going to be on the campus. So your daughter will be there, not really having much to do socially on the weekend. So that might be something to consider when you're looking at a school, if that might be something going on there. If you do go on tours at the colleges, always the best source of information are the students that are giving the tour, the students at the college. They're very happy to share and give you more information from their perspective. So definitely utilize them as a great resource. If you can go into the cafeteria, go in there, casually look at the newspaper at the school to see what's happening around campus. Those are all some great things to take in consideration when you're touring a school. And we usually suggest to try and tour a college too, again, if possible, all things considered, when they're in session, so you can really get a true feel and flavor of the campus. Going over the summer is great, but to kind of get a sense of the physical building itself, but it's not going to be full force yet until the fall or spring semester. So if possible, try and go when they're fully in session. So really get a feel of, student body, who's there, and all things like that. These are just some different tools for the college search. That I think some of it you probably would know already. So the girls, again, have Naviance to utilize their searching. And again, as I mentioned before, they can search for all those different criteria that they're looking for in Naviance to come up with a nice, concise list of schools that they might like to apply to. These are some suggestions for the good old-fashioned books that are excellent resources that you might like to find either in the library or Amazon, Barnes and Noble to see those. The last one, just so you know what that is, the Shaw Final Decision Guide. That is a hard copy of what you will find in Naviance. There is a scattergram in Naviance that will list the girls that apply to that school and whether or not they were accepted, denied, waitlist, and you can see exactly what their GPA was in their scores. So that'll help guide you to see what might possibly happen when your daughter is now applying to that school. So what Mrs. Henderson was saying before about having the decisions back, this is where it comes in handy. So when we know what happens in previous years, it'll help future classes decide, what might be, good options for them to consider. So that's what that is. It's a hard copy version that sometimes is very more concrete and easy to kind of read across the board. So we have that in the office, and I think we're actually going to be starting a new one this year. We usually do it every 5 years, so now we're pretty much due to do another one for the last 5 years. And that also is available in the guidance office. The girls can come in and look at that whenever they would like, but they just can't leave the office with them. They can just come in, spend as much time as they'd like, check out the book, but they can't just leave the building with it. Of course, there's the internet. The girls can definitely utilize the best source, the college websites directly, and they'll see when they're searching in Naviance, when they pull up a school, there's a link directly in there that they can go right to the college site in there. So it's really helpful. A really helpful tool. And parents also have access to Naviance too. So you were given a code as well when your daughters were freshmen. If by any reason you might not have gotten that or missed it, in the mix of things, certainly reach out to your daughter's counselor and we'll be happy to give you your access code for Naviance because it will be helpful for you as well. I will show you in a minute. There are different college fairs coming up, virtual info sessions, tours. They're all posted on our website. And these hyperlinks I have on here, I'll pull up in a second too. Those are different PDFs of tips to when you're visiting and doing the virtual fairs, which again, we're all brand new this year for a lot of us. So I'll pull that up in a minute. And then of course, our most valuable resources are very own Mrs. O'Neill. She is fantastic. And I believe a letter already went out to the junior class at the end of February. inviting you to make appointments with her. So please do make sure you take advantage of her. She's an excellent resource and really goes above and beyond helping our girls. She's so passionate. Okay, so before I pull up the last, the closing slide, let me just X out of this for a minute. And I'm going to pull up those PDFs just to show you what's there. And again, when you get this, you'll be able to view this. So this is keys to a successful college visit. So these are, again, some tips to look at before you go to visit a school. Then this is making the most of a virtual college fair. So again, this was, again, kind of new this year for all of us. So these are some suggestions for a virtual fair and tours, things to consider before you go ahead and do that. This was from Newsday, actually, in the beginning of the year in September is where this is from. And then, oops, the very last little PDF, these are just some websites. Again, these are all on our guidance page as well too, but we just wanted to add these on here as well to highlight for you. These are some other good resources, websites that have virtual tours available on them. And then I will pull up the Sacred Heart site to show you that as well. So please make sure you do take full advantage of visiting our website. It has a lot of helpful information on here. I help to update it on behalf of the whole department. So we all work very hard to collate this information together to make sure that everything on here is updated for you. A few things to highlight for you. We have upcoming conferences and special events here. So please check this often as things come up, we will update this. So these are some examples of things that were happening recently that we have on here that the girls can look at. So I believe Mrs. O'Neill was referring to the resume. So these are some great things that are happening now that perhaps if your daughter has an interest in them that she can participate in to add on for her resume. So these are some examples. There are the scholarships. So this is where the scholarships are located. So anytime anything comes into our office, we will post it on here, but it's not inclusive of everything out there. So certainly make sure you're checking the other places where I mentioned the school websites directly, Naviance. Maybe if, again, your job has a union, they often give scholarships in your community. They might give them too. So definitely be on the lookout for those. But this is a great resource here that you can utilize. So Going Merry, in addition to fastweb.com, which is one other scholarship searching site, goingmerry.com is another really great website that we found that we really like. So they actually let us embed on our website an auto updating scholarship chart. So the girls can go on here and just simply click next, and it'll just keep pulling up different scholarships, and it'll tell you how much time is there before the scholarship is due. So for example, you click on view and it'll bring it up for you to see. I have an account, so it's asking me to sign in, but it would just pull up the scholarship for you to see there, like this. We have scholarships with this other website here, scholarships specifically for women. And just as they come in, we update the page here for your girls. So, for example, right now, I believe there is one. If there's any scholarship that the girls can apply to 9 through 11, we usually highlight them in yellow so it stands out for the girls. So these were two that were happening recently that the girls could do now. If they read any of these books in English class by Ayn Rand, that they can do this essay, or there was a greeting card they could make if that was due at the beginning of March. So that's just an example of what it would look like they can do now. But typically the scholarships on here would be primarily for the senior class. And again, as they come in, we update. And more scholarships tend to come in the springtime. So definitely have your daughters be on lookout for this page. We try to shoot out an email to let you know when it has been updated, but we can't always do that all the time. So just make sure you're checking this frequently. It's a great resource for you. All the college fairs that are happening, again, they're currently will be all virtual. So all the fairs are listed here for you. So the College Board has several days that you could do. CUNY has college fairs. Again, those are the city universities for New York. That would be like Queens College, John Jay, Baruch. NACAC is the National Association for College Admissions Counseling. They have a whole bunch of different days for you to go to. Some of them are pertaining to specific majors. So there's a STEM only fair that happened in the beginning of March. And there's one actually that was happening today for performing and visual arts. NCA, the National Council Association, has a spring fair coming up. SUNYs have a whole bunch of fairs for them. So this is where you can look for the college fairs. Open houses will be on this page. So this would be if we're notified of any open houses that are happening. And these are again, the websites I showed you before for the tours. But our Mrs. Strong and Miss Kelly help update this page too for any updating fairs that you can click here, or they might just list them here separately for you to view as well. So definitely check out this page. If you don't see anything on here that your daughter is interested in, of course, always go directly to the source again and check out the college page directly for upcoming events on their admissions site. Traditionally, when the girls are seniors, we do have college reps come here, physically to the school. But again, we couldn't really do that this year. They would normally come in the morning before homeroom at 7:30 outside the library, where the girls can come and chat and engage and speak with the reps in person. And that's a nice way again to show your interest in the school, to show that you're really, passionate about that college. So this year they couldn't do that. So we were putting together when we could any Zoom meetings that were specific for our girls only. So these are just some examples of some schools that were doing special meetings only for our girls. And this is where the seniors could go this year to see any of those schools that might be of interest to them. So hopefully, we'll see what happens next year, but we might have to still do the virtual piece again in the fall. We'll see. And then just two more things to bring to your attention on the website here. In the summer, there are different programs that happen that, again, might be of interest to your daughters to do, to enhance their resume, to again pursue their passion with a certain area. So more and more of these will keep coming in the springtime. So keep checking this page as well. Different colleges offer them, or different organizations do them. I believe we had on here, there was something for a lifeguard position. If we scroll further down, American Pool was doing lifeguard positions for them. So you can look at this for different opportunities here. Some of these also might offer the option of college credit too. If it's with a university, she perhaps might be able to earn some college credit. So that depends on the college. And then lastly, on this website, you'll find an additional resource page. And we compiled all of these different websites for different topics that your girls can look at. This has been here since, again, freshman year. So hopefully they've been looking at this regarding careers. There's all different college related websites here that they can look at, college searching information. There's a section again for financial aid scholarships. These are more financial aid scholarship websites they can use to help research. And then after that, there's more study skills websites. This, just so you know, this one right here is the New York State site for the region exams. So they can click on this and they can get in and do practice tests for free, just so you're aware of that. So those are some different things that you'll find on the website. And we all hope that you will make use of this and utilize it. There's a lot of information on here that we put here for you. And then let me go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so that is the end of the formal presentation. These are again our how you can contact us via email. This is also on the website as well. You can feel free to call us too with any questions, and we'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gregorio. That was very good. And thank you to all the counselors for coming out tonight. I did want to just share, there was a couple of questions that came up on the chat. And one of them was, just will the packets be mailed home, especially for remote students? But actually the packets are going to be electronic and we're going to email them tomorrow. So you should look out for that, as well as the video of this presentation tonight. And someone had mentioned, will the profile indicate that school was in person? As many schools around the country were virtual. So, is this a way of setting us apart? And I do think it is. And those profiles are made up by Ms. Kathleen O'Neill. She will go over that and review it, but it is an excellent point to include in that bio for that. I also wanted to mention, somebody was asking about how to make an appointment with Mrs. O'Neill. And Ms. O'Neill, can you just let everyone know how that is for sure?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Crystal. Yes, they could just send me an email and just include their phone number on it, and I'll certainly reach out to them then and call them so we can secure that. And I did just want to make two other comments tonight too, just as a little reminders, and that is for our girls who are athletes. If any of our girls are athletes and you haven't had a meeting yet with our athletic director, that would be certainly something that I would recommend that you do if you haven't done that yet. And that is Mrs. Morgan Molinari O'Connor. And so I would certainly reach out to her. All of us at Sacred Heart, our emails are our first initial and our last name, and then our little tag, Sacred Heart academyli.org. And I know that she'll follow up with you, but that would be really important for her to have that input in helping you regarding the sports. And the other aspect I just wanted to say too is that even though it came a bit earlier, I do want to clarify two things a bit more, and that is regarding doing the application itself. It's so important that your daughters do their own applications. You can certainly, help them, and I know that you will, as being very, great proponents of your daughter. But it's really important that your daughter does it. And also when you register, if you are going to register for college level classes, that you have your daughter register for them, because the teachers in the classroom are going to talk to your daughters about them. Emails from our liaisons of our four institutions are going to email your daughter with information, highlights, when to re-register. I mean, we'll do it as well, but they're going to connect with your daughter and not with you, because again, it's at that college level. And even having a professional email moving forward is very important, because if your daughter registers for college credit, if it isn't proper, we'll say, for lack maybe of a better term, that they will reject that email. So it really is that your daughter coming back now as a senior is really going to be, really shifting to that professional aspect of her life. But the reason that I also comment about your daughter filling out the application is that throughout the year, the different people at the colleges are going to reach out to your daughter's counselors, or to myself, or to our chairperson, and they might have some questions. And then many times we'll send for your daughter to clarify it, or say that you need to contact this school, or they'll have some specific questions. And sometimes we'll send for the student. And when I ask the student about a particular college, sometimes they'll say like, oh, I don't know, am I applying to that school? And we'll be at a loss to say like, I don't know, honey, are you? I guess you are, because they're trying to follow up with you. So sometimes the girls don't know that, and we kind of take that for granted that they are. But sometimes they don't, because their parents are trying to help them, and they do the application and they don't even realize they're applying to that school. So that really wouldn't be helpful. So just to highlight that you think you may be doing the right thing. And I know your heart is always in the right place, but we always have to sometimes now when it comes to that senior year to step back a little bit and let them take the reins. So I did just want to clarify those few points. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. O'Neill. I did want to mention, we had a good question here. What effects of the pandemic has Shaw seen in terms of college acceptances this year so far?
I think overall, our girls, we have had very good results. We're very happy with our results so far regarding scholarships, regarding acceptances. We don't have that entire picture yet, as many colleges will send out their acceptances the very end of March, and April 1st is a big find out day for so many of the girls. So we don't have the full picture yet. But so far, we like the vision, thank God. And I think what has been a plus for our school, and that's certainly a credit to our administrators and to all of our faculty, is that we have been in the real, and that we've given real grades and not pass fails. And that has really enabled our students to stand out. And most of our girls have continued with the testing. And I know in some schools too, they have found that sometimes the girls might have changed where they were going to go to school. And I have to say, for the most part, here, our girls really, have applied very similarly in spreading their wings across the country, and not just staying locally, really having that nice mix. I think that's been very healthy for them and positive for them. And so far, knock on wood, our results have been positive, and we're very proud of them, as we always are. And we hope that in the next couple of weeks, we'll have more good news to share.
So a next question was, can you please put the PDF for the GPA requirement online? I'm not exactly sure what that is. I know we are going to be sending out the video from today and the PowerPoint, so you will actually be able to see anything that was on there. Does anybody have a guess? Or maybe if person who's doing that can write a further explanation of what they want. Is it the GPA, or are they talking about perhaps the GPA required to get into schools? perhaps that. Somebody asked, has a decision been made regarding regions this year? We all want to know about regions. You're reading it in Newsday, right? And the regions actually spent some time, actual New York State Regents board members, and they spent yesterday and today. And the last thing that we heard was that they were going, that we were probably going to issue 4 regencies this year, and the juniors are going to be affected more, that their regions that they'd have to take is English regions. The other, if we don't have regencies, then if that's for sure, we will have finals in their places. So everyone should know that. And anybody else have any other information? You can certainly email any one of us, and we will be communicating with you tomorrow and giving you the packet with all the articles and different things. Does anybody have any last words? I want to thank everybody for coming today. APs, yes, the AP schedule will be coming out shortly. Just hang on. The AP schedule will be coming out shortly. It's during the month of May, and there's lots of different dates for that. And also, if students are registered in college level classes, make sure, I think there's one last deadline, that if you're in AP biology, that you might still have to register, and that's coming up very, very soon. So please look at the website under guidance. No, is it under academics, Kathleen? I just want to make sure that.
The college credit information is listed under the academics tab on the website.
So if you want to sign up for anything, it's under academics.
And also regarding AP and payment, just as a reminder, the deadline for that is this Friday, St. Joseph's Day, on the 19th of March. It's the last day for AP payment, if a parent didn't get a chance to do that yet.
That's a great reminder.
I saw a question come in about how will the girls at home receive the packet regarding the recommendation letters. Each counselor will email that to the girls, and also post it in our classrooms too. So it'll be electronic as how they will be receiving the information.
There's 2 more points. One was the feeder. The feeder question, what are feeder schools to Shaw? What schools are feeder schools for Shaw? Anybody want to mention that? Feeder schools, meaning that
we have hi. Regarding the feeder schools, I would say we probably have about 20 or 25 really that are feeder schools. But I would have to say, and maybe an important statistic, which we of course are very proud of in our girls, is that every year, with every class, whatever size class we have, every year our girls are spread out between 95 and 105 different colleges across the United States. And usually every year we'll have one student maybe go to Canada or go to Europe, a country in Europe. So really we don't have any year really where we have that many students go to any particular college. But I would probably say there's probably 20 or 25 schools that are certainly, we'd say, ones that our girls might navigate to, certainly to apply, but not necessarily always to attend necessarily.
And when will National Honor Society be discussed? The National Honor Society is meeting with their officers during these last few weeks, and they've been talking about when they're going to be doing applications. But it is based, your invitation to the National Honor Society is based upon quarter 1, 2, and 3 grades from this year, and all of your grades from 10th grade and all of your grades from 9th grade. So it's going to be counting all the way up through this quarter. So do the best you can, and the invitation will come out, and then you will fill out an application and submit the application, and then they will rule upon that application. And we would have an evening to celebrate those students who are inducted to National Honor Society. And there's some information on our website about National Honor Society as well. And in your handbook, that all of the requirements for National Honor Society are there. So I see a lot of people saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Very informative. Thank you, thank you. So we want everyone to have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate the families contributions. We had close to 190 of our 230 students here. We had close to 190 parents and families and students come today. So that's wonderful. I know some people couldn't make it, but that's why we're recording it. Appreciate the turnout tonight. This is a wonderful time to be able to talk to your daughters and explore the wonderful world of college. And we appreciate all of you coming. Would May or June SAT make a difference? Sure, go for it. Take, if you can, sign up for the May or June one, because it's the last possible time that you're going to have maybe that version, because we did hear that possibly in September, there's going to be an online version. So if you want to take your chances and go for something in August or September, you can do that, but May or June is fine. And I do know some students have been closed out of the March exam, and we are advising them to sign up as soon as possible for May or for June. You can always sign up for both of them if you want. If one gets closed out, then you'll have the next one to go to. So fingers crossed that everyone gets to take something just to have it on the record. But we appreciate all you coming. And I don't see any more questions, just lots of thank yous. Thank you, the guidance staff. You did a wonderful job tonight. I'm so proud of everyone. Happy St. Patty's Day tomorrow. Wear your green, get your green on. That's why we're
There is a question regarding will Shaw administer in-house SAT exams this year?
we're not going to do it this year because we're hoping that the May and June will come through for us. Last year, we did it in September, but at that time, it might be online. And if it's online, no school will be administering it. You'd be taking it from home if it's online, most likely. So that's what the intentions might be for College Board and for ACT. So we'll have to see how that goes. We'll always have you in mind, though, in case a big percentage of the students could not take an SAT. That might be something we'll explore, but I think next fall, SATs and ACTs are going to look a lot different. So that's why we encourage you. But either way, your grades are going to be there, your personality and your interview and all of the other things are going to shine through because you're wonderful Shaw students. Thank you so much. The AP exams will be a mixture of online and in person. You're going to find that out soon as well. We have a question about will AP exams be online this year or in person. So once we send it out, you will find out which ones are online and which ones are in person. Anyone on remote, well, if it's an in-person test, will have to come in and just report directly to the gymnasium, take the exam, and then they can go back home again. But anyone on remote will be required to come in to take an in-person exam if the AP is exam. So keep a close eye. Somebody's warning us to note to keep a close eye on getting bumped at the last minute. And yes, thank you, Helen, for letting us know that everyone should check their emails before they're going to take a drive or an hour drive to an SAT. Make sure to call either during the day before and find out if it's still running, or make sure that they look out for their email. I do know some students were bumped out of being at a site just at the last minute, but not to fret. You know, we still have May, we still have June, and we also still have test optional, which is always good. But I know a lot of you are preparing and ready for it. So good luck. I hope it happens, and work hard in school and keep it up. So thank you. I'm going to stop everything and close out tonight. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.